Before we begin this video, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, Immortal Taoists. You thought that isekai was the only trend in town, right? But also gaining steam is the wuxia genre Tales of Chinese martial art fantasy. With its East Asian world, martial arts and plot, Immortal Taoists has a lot for anime fans, from the most casual to the deepest in anime hell to enjoy. The game has a lot of customization options, so you can go ahead and turn yourself into someone straight out of Demon Slayer or Dororo. To help you get started, we'll also be giving out a promotion code, and you guys can use it to claim some awesome rewards in the game. Check the link in the description to download the game. There's no time like the present, so come and join the fun now. It's no secret that spring 2020 used to be known as the blockbuster season of sequels to kick off the new decade. Everyone was anticipating the next season to their favorite shows. That is, until circumstances took those sequels away from us, one by one. Even some of those that have begun airing, like Food Wars, were not safe. Needless to say, a lot of people were disappointed. However, life, and to a certain extent the anime industry, finds a way, and from the ashes of the seemingly desolate season, a lot of new stars got the big break to shine. So for today, I'll take you through a rundown of 10 of the best non-sequel anime that were released during this spring season. Also, I'm not going to be including shows that have been cut short or that have a confirmed July release date as of the time of writing. So basically, there goes Millionaire Detective. To start things off at number 10, we take a look at Princess Connect Redrive. Konosuba in 2020 looks pretty good now, don't you think? I thought that it would be a matter of time before Princess Connect gets its anime adaptation, given the amount of money Cygames is drowning in right now. Looking at the results so far, I think we got a pretty nice result, don't you think? Princess Connect Redrive's main appeal, in my opinion, comes from the fact that the series feels like it's going for the easygoing, chill and wholesome route, hence the Konosuba comparisons. Of course, we all know how Konosuba ended up being one of the best comedies, and while I think that Princess Connect is nowhere near that level, I would say it makes a nice alternative if you're in for that kind of storytelling. The characters are bubbly and fun, the world looks great, and the voice acting is top-notch. Each episode of Princess Connect is a fun adventure in its own right, and if you find yourself having fun with the antics of our main quartet, you're definitely going to enjoy this ride. Being an artist in the Renaissance is tough, even more so if you happen to be a woman who indulges herself in the pursuit of art. Social norms were a pain for women during those days, and doubly so for Arte, who loses her father, the only person who really believes in her passion for art. Refusing to just sit back and settle in as a noble's wife, Arte gets a big break as the apprentice of the master artisan Leo. With a new life ahead of her, she must earn her keep and rush head on the road to becoming a master artist herself. It may not be the sheltered life of a noble that she would have had, but it's one that she would take in a heartbeat. Arte provides a feminist take on what's known as a male-dominated field in the Renaissance era. It has a relaxing, colourful setting complemented by a lead that you can't help but cheer for. The series also covers some mature themes that not a lot of people can see being tackled in this medium.
いやー、25過ぎてから男と別れるってきついですね。
Sitting in our 8th spot is Wave, Listen to Me. This is a cautionary tale of recklessly spilling your sorrows onto strangers. Thanks to Minare ranting about her misery and misfortune, she finds herself a recipient of unwanted exposure through the radio. To make matters worse, her frustrated run to the radio station ended up with her suddenly becoming the next big thing on radio as a late-night talk show host. At least things seem to be working out well for Minare, who suddenly finds herself on the road to her next venture in the world of radio, all while balancing her new venture with the other aspects of her personal life. Those who have gone through Minare's situations would no doubt have a blast with this series, as her everyday antics end up hitting a bit too close to home. Even if you don't, the comedy aspect of it still holds up quite well. I think this has got something to do with the excellent voice acting, which for me is by far the best part of the show, and fittingly so as well, given the subject and premise. Here's a sleeper hit that I didn't manage to talk about pre-season. To sum up the story in more easy terms, Kakushi Goto is the story of Kakushi, a manga artist who makes questionable content and therefore vows to keep his profession a secret from his daughter. Of course, this includes wild situations like pretending to be a salaryman. Well, as you'd expect, hijinks ensue as he goes to all lengths in order to protect his precious daughter from his not-so-innocent job. The show's highlighted by all the silly and over-the-top attempts by our main character in order to hide his secret. Endless laughs are to to be had in a story about a dad trying to outsmart his ever-curious daughter. I think the story is a unique take on the father-daughter subgenre, which is typically dominated by wholesome relationships of growth. In Kakushigoto, comedy takes the forefront and the results are amazing. At the halfway point is my next life as a villainess. Everyone can't stop talking about Bacarina. What I thought was a potential hit for the season ended up delivering spectacularly, capturing the hearts of many anime fans this season thanks to the brand new twist in the isekai genre. See, this is exactly why isekai is here to stay, unlike the previous 3 to 5 year trends like the Magic Academy harems of the early 2010s. To be fair, My Next Life as a Villainess is a very entertaining show minus the novelty of it being an isekai that's a reverse harem and starring the supposed villain for once. The plot ended up being quite wholesome as well, with Katerina trying to prevent bad endings by becoming friends with everyone. I think the best part of the show is the characters, who all bring something new to the table. Along with Katerina, who for me is one of the most entertaining isekai leads in the modern era, the cast is just a good lineup of guys and gals that mesh well together in the finished product. It's an anime that will bring smiles to your faces, and I personally anticipate each new episode with eagerness.
そうか人間か
It's confession time. If there was anime this season that was the butt of a lot of jokes, it was most definitely this one. And I had a good time laughing along with those too. But beyond all those jokes and memes about Zootopia, Trigger and furries, BNA ended up a pretty good anime in its own right, you know. It also got all episodes released in a hurry, so that's a point for it for those who want to binge something all the way to the end. Now, while I'd say that Trigger is capable of doing more, I think in a vacuum, BNA is a pretty damn good show, you know. I think the last few episodes following that big reveal could have helped push the show in a good direction, and it was unfortunate that it had to be cut short given the episode count assigned for this series. Despite all of its wrinkles, especially in the last few episodes, I had a lot of fun following the story of this show. If you're up for a quick anime fix and want to see what Trigger's up to now, BNA is your go-to show for this season. You know, I didn't really know what to expect from Gleipnir before the season started. Then I watched the first few episodes, got hooked and started reading the manga, and the rest is history. In my opinion, the big appeal of Gleipnir is just how well it manages to connect conflict after conflict. Perhaps it's due to the unique dynamics between the main duo or the surprisingly great fight animations, but the show never ended up being a slog to watch. It's either that, or after thoroughly enjoying Darwin's Game the previous season, I'm up for more edgy survival battle anime. Among the action titles this season, I vouch for this one in terms of good old dumb fun. Many people, including me that is, have repeatedly questioned the weird premise, but I ended up enjoying the show far more than I expected anyway. Beware though, the fan service can get pretty gratuitous midway through. For our next entry, Great Pretenders got you covered. Now, I'd say with its run being underway, Great Pretenders shaping up to be one of the more promising up-and-coming titles out there. Starring a duo of con men, Great Pretender follows their journey as they find their swindling lifestyle backfiring on them. Before the season, I had some lofty expectations for this show, and I can confidently say that the show does bring a lot of crazy fun that you don't see every day. So far, it's gone on to make a promising start with nice art, some nifty color palettes, and a very comfy premise. Not to mention the soundtrack that's just pure fire. Great Pretender, from what we've already seen of it, looks more and more promising with each passing episode. Note that Studio Wit went out of their way to go for this project instead of Attack on Titan Season 4, so that's got to mean something in terms of how much stock they're putting into it, right? It's been a while since I've seen one of these, but seeing Yesterday for me is actually pretty good as a coming-of-age story. I admit that I overlooked this one when I was doing my pre-season previews thanks to the sequels that we eventually ended up getting robbed of. Mostly. In a way, I'd say that having all of those delayed sequels ended up being a blessing in disguise of sorts because it allowed me to chance upon this series. You probably won't know me as that big of a fan of shows like this compared to the more action-y ones, but this anime has caught me in its narrative. I guess it has to do with the relatable characters, its mature take on romance, or the outstanding visual and production quality that the show has to offer. Whatever the reason is, I would vouch for this show, definitely. When it's all said and done, seeing Yesterday for me could very well end up being the underrated title of this season. Coming into the season, I had high expectations for Tower of God, and what do you know, it really delivered, didn't it? For me, at least, it was a no-brainer putting this show on top of this list. Am I being biased because I'm a big fan of the source material? Maybe, but it is what it is, isn't it? I love it when the hype for a show does deliver. I had my reservations due to the 13-episode format and that the resulting pacing issues, but overall, I'd say I'm pretty satisfied. I think that this show in the season has the wide appeal game down pat, and with its blend of an interesting world, a gripping narrative, and a large cast of vibrant characters, it comes up with a good addition to the modern library of epic fantasy. I think that this being given 13 episodes ended up being the show's bane, because having read some of the original webcomic, I'd say that such a short run doesn't do it justice, especially in the world building aspect. With that being said, I think Tower of God is the best original anime this season has to offer, simply because of how it hits the right notes for such a broad audience. If you're enjoying the first season, let me tell you this: you haven't seen anything yet. Personally, I can't wait for more Tower of God as well as more webtoon adaptations. So what do you think then? A pretty good season when it's all said and done, isn't it? There are a lot of good shows that you're missing out on if you're not watching much anime this season. This further shows that even in times of adversity, the anime industry can keep going. Let's all thank the guys behind these shows and the creative minds behind it all for giving us entertainment in our times of need. So what are you waiting for? Pick your show from this list and start catching up. Don't forget to check out our sponsors game, Immortal Taoists. Next month's their 1-year anniversary, and I'm sure that most of the 2 million people who've downloaded the game will have something to say about it. That's not even getting to the 200,000 Facebook fans and the 30,000 fans on the official Discord. And if that's not enough to convince you, then maybe people on Google Play can help you out. After all, it's going to be on its recommendation page, and we'll be tying that momentous occasion with an in-game event. So check the link in the description to download the game for free. Also, hit the like button and subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you next time on ViniTube.